Health support workers give 1 week ultimatum. Morobe contractors still waiting for dues. And lay police spreading the word among communities.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Sayer.
Good evening and welcome to Tuesday's news. The PNG Health Support Workers Association is giving the Prime Minister, Chief Secretary and the Department of Personnel Management 1 week to address their grievances. This is from the association's General Secretary, Jack Suau, who is calling for a round-table negotiation before an unannounced strike will be carried out. This follows the result of the secret ballot declared today by the Electoral Commission.
Election Manager Terence Hatinu confirmed that the secret ballot was tasked by the Industrial Registrar to be conducted. He said the secret ballot is a result of 14 provinces that were able to complete the polling in time.
The election, which commenced on the 31st of October 2016 and ended on the 15th of November 2016 today, is the true results. And I would like to declare that the results are in order. Putting all the 14 provinces together, 1,868 members voted for a strike action. Those that vote against a strike action, 11, 1-1. Only 11 voted against a strike action.
In receiving the results, the association's General Secretary Jack Suau says the secret ballot is a result of the outstanding log of claims submitted last year to the Department of Personnel Management.
I'm now giving 1 week, as of today, to 1, the Prime Minister, 2, the Chief Secretary, 3, John Kelly, to come forward and sit on a round table to negotiate for the log of claim that has been delayed. Prolonged delay to date. We want to sign an agreement. We want to make sure that our members have to benefit.
The executives of the PNG Health Support Workers Association will now submit a 1 week letter of notice to the CEOs of all provincial health authorities.
This circular that I've submitted to you is to prepare a skeleton staff to be organized. Strike can go at any time. And I'm giving you this week to prepare.
Merlin Diaukatam, National EMTV News.
Contractors to the Morobe provincial government are still waiting to get a response to their demands for the provincial government to pay outstanding claims worth more than 7 million kina. The contractors say they will remain in what they described as house cry near the provincial administration building until they get a reply from the provincial government. Contractors from the Lae City Council are also waiting for an answer from the management regarding a separate unpaid claim dating back to 2013. Julie Badui Owa with this report.
This is a group of contractors which include builders, plumbers and electricians hired by the Provincial Government Works Division. They were hired to maintain and build staff houses, the provincial headquarters, and are also assigned to assist with PSIP projects in other districts. Their contracted services began in 2013 and were not paid in full.
Outstanding order display accumulating 7.9 million kina. Na osem na mipla start lo making attempt lo ikam looking more line long administration.
The contractors said further delays will continue to affect their businesses. The leaders of the group said they are demanding that the Morobe government meet with them to resolve the issue before the elections begin in 2017.
Lo here mipla sanapia service has been landed and we want our money. That's all. Nothing more than that. All arpla something. Mipla like money blow mipla. And too hard money. Money mipla hard work longen.
Acting Provincial Administrator Sheila Patti Harrow said this is the result of bad management and the administration is working closely to solve the issue. Meanwhile, contractors to the Lae City Council are yet to receive their unpaid claims from the administration. Topsy Abu, a building contractor, said a check written out to him by the City Council was dishonored. He could not deposit the money into his bank account because he was advised by the bank that there is no money in the Leh City Council's main account.
Now, up until now, yes, I check him stuff until me. Now, me no say what to do. I do not know what to do. So City Council must give him money somewhere to pay more contractors.
Julie Badui Owa, National EMTV News, Leh.
Leh's Community Policing Unit is carrying out a 2-week awareness program on issues such as law and order problems affecting the schools and communities. Officers in charge, Senior Sergeant Alois Gabor, says most deaths, destruction to properties and disturbances are fueled by the production and consumption of illegal drugs and homebrew. He added that it was vital for stakeholders to play an active role in educating the younger generation and the general public.
Leh's Community Policing Unit and Correctional Service officers from the Juvenile Section started a 2-week awareness program at 2 primary schools yesterday, St. Martin's and Midford Haven Primary School. Officer in charge, Senior Sergeant Alois Gabuo, says the awareness is conducted to educate the students on the Lookout in Pikinini Act, Juvenile Justice Act, health and other relevant topics.
Regarding Lookout in Pikinini Act, Family Protection Act, Juvenile Justice Act, and Drug Act, and also will address some other law and order issues within the district.
The awareness is vital at this time for students as it prepares them for the holiday period, as well as informing them of the effects these illicit substances may have on them. Grade 6 student of Midford Haven Primary School, Chelsea Kisokau, says she is pleased with the awareness, as it not only informs them of the effects of these illegal items, but it also warns them to keep away from these substances.
People will know and then they will start not do this again.
The awareness will be conducted in all primary and secondary schools in the city. A community awareness program is also planned to be conducted during the weekend. Mata Luis, National EMTV News, Leh.
The Tarama Aquatic Center in Port Moresby was robbed yesterday and an estimated 12,000 kina in cash stolen. It is understood the money was from entry fees the center received from customers who visited the center throughout last week. Port Moresby police say information at the moment is sketchy but believe it was an inside job. Investigations into the robbery have commenced, but as of 4:30 this afternoon, no suspects have been arrested. The body of the late Justice Catherine Davani was laid to rest at the 9 Mile Cemetery outside Port Moresby this morning. The burial service was witnessed by her immediate family, close friends and the late Justice's colleagues from the law and justice sector.
The casket of the late Justice Catherine Davani was escorted into the burial site by disciplinary officers from the Correctional Services and the PNG Defence Force. Her burial was attended by Chief Justice Salamo India, including other judges of the National and Supreme Courts in Port Moresby. The late Justice Catherine was born in 1960 and grew up in Bulolo district of Morobe province. Apart from a career in the law and justice sector, she was a sports ambassador who contributed to the development of football in PNG. Late Justice Catherine was a judge at the National and Supreme Court in Port Moresby until a recent death. A funeral service was held at the St. Joseph Catholic Church in Port Moresby yesterday. She leaves behind 3 sons and a husband, John Davani. Before a casket was lowered into the ground, the PNG flag on a coffin was removed and given to the Chief Justice, who later passed it on to her husband. A small burial ceremony was held before a casket was lowered into the ground. Takla Gunga, National EMTV News.
National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay with us. Welcome back. A market is one of the attractive places because that's where food is sold and also where people meet. But sometimes it can become an eyesore if not managed well, especially with waste or rubbish. And Popondetta Market in Northern Province has fallen into this category. Our journalist Fabian Hakalet visited the market and brings us this special report.
Thank you. Yes, we bring you this special report all the way from Northern Province, and we featured the Popondetta main market. Now, the very first thing that visitors want to see is for a clean market. This is a sector where rules and regulations must be applied like the Food Safety Act. However, as you can see behind me, this rubbish has been piling for several months now, and workers want to see that there is a proper management.
Every day, rubbish is piling up and has become an eyesore to commuters. EMTV News visited this market recently and spoke to Douglas Jawalepa, who is employed by the Higaturu local level government to keep this market clean. Upon a query on its ownership, Douglas says that this market, although in the central business district, is owned by Higaturu local level government and not the Popondetta Urban Council.
Even like kisim sila market na olag lukatim bat also tintin lo property lo Higaturu osen na also larem.
Douglas and his colleagues work tirelessly, starting work early in the morning, collecting market fees and maintaining cleanliness at the Popondetta market. Despite of their request falling on deaf ears, they continue to do what they can do.
Na mi pla ba kolo office na talking manager blow mi pla osem. Rubbish pull up. Rubbish come close to lo market. So mi pla like him one pla truck na about give him plana. Mi pla shift him rubbish. That's all. Mi pla talking all manager embal kirap na talk. No got money lo account. Government no got money. But mi play it sabe osem. Every taken mi pla sa kisim. 4,000 to 5,000.
What concerns Douglas and his colleagues is food hygiene. A walk around the market sees there's no regulation applied, cooked food not being covered, which is a great health risk.
Time do rain, you look him. Suppose day, morning near time rain go abinun. All mama ba kari go something kam putin na place ba kam sidan do rabis ya na go beken na go sidan na lo kai blol na all customer ba kam baim na all kai am ba ka chik or no kat.
All officers, work long come down, long stand long level, long all man, long look him this la rubbish. No liti no se me good pla, but look long me pla all mama it is not good because all salim all kai long here and the flies from the rubbish can always cause sicknesses.
Douglas and his colleagues claimed there is miscommunication and are calling on the Higaturu local level government to allocate a vehicle to remove the rubbish.
Now I think Christmas, New Year mi pla stop, and I think rubbish by come go inside lo market na add lo mi pla lausim. All this government must try look lo market because this la market tasol saving mama, papa picking in lo school fee lo all.
The market workers also claimed they haven't been paid for 21 fortnights, but do their work out of love and loyalty.
21 fortnight mi play no kissing pay. Me no now mi toto before.
Now, what workers want to see is for a change, meaning that the properties have to be transferred from the Higaturu local level government to the Popondetta Urban Council. And according to Ward Councillor Gabriel Yavisa, he says that the documentation are in place. However, the political bureaucrats here have to speed up the process. In Popondetta, Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Writers in the country have been urged to write more about PNG's rich historical culture. While launching the novel Endurance, author Tim Griffiths says PNG must write about the past for future generations. The novel was launched recently by Sinesine Yongomul MP Kerangakua in Port Moresby.
While launching the novel Endurance, author Tim Griffiths spoke highly of the rich history of wars and culture in PNG. But his novel focuses on life of a photographer, Frank Halley, who is captivated by everyday life prior to independence. However, Griffiths is merely concerned with the amount of information PNG is not writing about.
And there was a whole lot of stories and poetry being written in the 70s and 80s, and sadly that PNG writing seems to have slowed down quite a lot in the last 2 decades. But John was absolutely at the front of that writing.
The novel describes the life of Frank Halley, who played an important part in the history of World War II with his photographic encounters.
Is why I think the Frank Halley story is one of the most amazing stories you could ever possibly imagine. And why also he is such a complex character.
Prior to launching the novel, Sine Yongumul MP Keranga Kua said the book is a must-read for everyone.
It's not an everyday thought, isn't it? But when you read this book, all of a sudden you realize that through the craftsmanship of the author of the book, a photographer's life all of a sudden becomes very exciting, worth reading about.
The novel was launched at the Royal Papua New Guinea Yacht Club and witnessed by distinguished guests, family and friends.
On behalf of all of us, I have the special pleasure in launching the book, Endurance.
Jack Lapava Jr. National, MTV News.
The Lakwaharu women in Fisheries Group in Central Province have completed their fish filleting training. The completion of the training under the Guinea-Guada Life Skills Program brings them closer to becoming experts in fish filleting. The women say their dream of establishing a small-scale fish filleting processing plant at Tubuseria is nearing its achievement.
Fish filleting is a rare skill in Papua New Guinea. For the Lakwaru women in Fisheries Group in Tubuseria village, the completion of this skill training brings them closer to achieve their dream. After 2 weeks of theory under the Guinea-Guada Life Skills Training Program, the women successfully completed their practical recently. Their families catch fish every day and sell them for an income. However, acquiring the skill of filleting not only brings hope for more economic benefits, but skills development.
Because we didn't know how to do the filleting. When we go and learn about it, we'll need money. We'll try our best to.
For other groups of women in Anwa Bada, Pore Bada Buana and a group in Ley are also doing similar training. About 100 women are in this fishing project supported by the Asian Development Bank.
Even know how to plan. They didn't even think of any other thing except waking up and feeding families. And right now they're thinking in a bigger and a better way in order for them to move globally, if you want to say.
The program is working across the Pacific to improve the business environment to make it easier to open and build new businesses and expand domestic and foreign investment in Pacific economies. The program is now in its 3rd phase. Jack Lapave Jr. National, MTV News.
Over 80 Papua New Guinean law students recently rubbed shoulders with some of Australia's top legal experts as they refined their courtroom skills in criminal and civil advocacy. The training is part of a partnership between the PNG Legal Training Institute, or LTI, and the Victorian Bar and the Australian Government. The workshop was funded by the Australian Government as part of its partnership with PNG, supporting the goal of a just, safe and secure society for all.
For over 15 years, members of the Victorian Bar have volunteered their time and expertise to train PNG's up-and-coming lawyers. This year, the group was led by Justice Christopher O'Neill on behalf of the Pacific Rim Committee of the Victorian Bar. The students were taken through intensive training on enhanced criminal litigation, advocacy skills and mock court sessions to practice making submissions on behalf of their clients, leading evidence and cross-examining witnesses.
But I'm confident that what we have done is helped your confidence, inspired you about the legal system and your role in it, given you a range of instruction in the area of advocacy. which you will take into the future. Provided you with some understanding of the importance of ethics and your reputation in the profession. And from all the feedback that we get from Mrs. Mogish and others, we believe these are all very important aspects of the work that we do here.
Deputy Chief Justice Sir Gibbs Salika spoke about the importance of self-discipline and advised students to be strong team players by playing by the rules.
You've done well to come this far. You've done very well to come this far, and you're just about to be admitted to come to the bar table. And the bar table is a privileged table. Only the privileged stand behind the bar table.
Trainee Moana Nahuet said training from some of Australia's top women barristers alongside the nearly all-women LTI team has been very encouraging.
Throughout the course of this week we have learned we have to prepare ourselves, we have to know what we're talking about, and we have to look at things from all angles, really exhaust all options.
Fellow student Nathan Hukula said he gained handy tips on how to be an effective advocate when he gets out there and practice law.
These are very valuable skills that we will take with us in benefiting the judicial system in our country.
Australian High Commission representative Peter Fennell said students with strong criminal justice skills would help to support better and fairer justice outcomes for Papua New Guineans. Deli Waigeno, National, EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news, the kina closed unchanged at $0.3155 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your kina was buying $0.3080 US, $0.4049 Australian dollars, $0.2840 euro and 33.08 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and coffee closed higher, while cocoa and copra closed the day lower. Palm oil, crude oil and copper all closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 21.03 points higher, the ASX is trading at 19.53 points lower, and the All Ordinaries is trading at 20.49 points lower. You're with National EMTV News, stories making headlines overseas when we return. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the news. New Zealand Prime Minister John Key says the damage bill from a 7.8 magnitude earthquake that hit the nation's South Island overnight is likely to be in the billions of dollars. The powerful quake killed at least 2 people, damaged roads and buildings, and sent thousands fleeing to higher ground. It was followed by a strong new earthquake with a magnitude of 6.2.
Civil Defence declared a state of emergency for South Island's Kaikoura region, centred on a tourist town about 150 kilometres northeast of Christchurch, soon after Monday's large aftershock. Kaikoura, a popular spot for whale watching, appeared to have borne the brunt of the quake.
That's probably relatively simple compared to the damage to the road, so the slips here are horrendous, but
houses and roads were damaged during the earthquake and aftershocks, and a train derailed in the area of Culverden, north of Christchurch. Nearly 600 people, Key confirmed, are at the welfare centre, unable to move out of the town, with roads and all access points blocked off.
Here are blocked off. The only way through is flying people in and out. There's quite a number of tourists now who are ultimately stuck with international connections, so we'll have to think about that. There's also
residents in New Zealand's capital, Wellington, have begun cleaning up after the quake, amidst concerns that loose glass and masonry could be dislodged by severe weather hitting the capital, with 140 km/h winds forecast.
We won't be staying here because, as you can see, looking at the mess here, this is going to take a week to clean before it'll be habitable again.
Workers were ordered to stay away while the City Council assessed the risk to buildings, several of which were damaged by the tremor. Power lines and telecommunications were down, with huge cracks in the roads, landslips and other damages to infrastructure, making it hard to reach the worst affected areas. A tsunami warning that led to mass evacuation after the original quake was downgraded after large waves hit New Zealand's capital Wellington in the North Island and Christchurch. The last major 6.3 magnitude earthquake hit New Zealand in February 2011, killing 185 people and caused widespread damage. Melissa Goviro, EMTV World News.
U.S. President Barack Obama, who held his first news conference since election campaigns, said on Monday it was important for President-elect Donald Trump to send signals of unity. He said because of the bitterness and ferocity of the campaigns, it was also vital that Trump reaches out to minority groups, women and others that were concerned about the tenor of the campaign. Obama encouraged the U.S. citizens to give Trump time to make this critical transition from campaign to presidency.
That's something that he will want to do, but this is all happening real fast. He's got commitments to supporters that helped to get him here, and he's going to have to balance those. Over the coming weeks and months and years, my hope is that those impulses ultimately win out.
Swedish prosecutor Ingrid Isgren arrived at Ecuador's embassy in London to question Julian Assange over rape allegations. Supporters of the WikiLeaks founder gathered outside the Ecuadorian embassy in London on Monday in protest of the questioning. The interview could end a 4-year deadlock since Assange took refuge in the embassy.
Isgren arrived at the embassy where Assange has been holed up for 4 years to pose questions through an Ecuadorian prosecutor over allegations he committed rape in 2010. Assange denies the allegations. The Swedish prosecution authority said last week that Ecuador had granted a Swedish request for assistance in criminal matters. Assange supporters, led by prominent British human rights campaigner Peter Tatchell, criticized Sweden for the delay in questioning Assange.
The question we have to ask is, why have the Swedish prosecutors taken so long to come here and ask him those questions, even though they were rebuked way back in 2014 by the Swedish courts?
After enraging the US by publishing hundreds of thousands of secret US diplomatic cables, Assange sought refuge in the embassy in August 2012 to avoid being extradited to Sweden over the rape allegations. The 45-year-old Australian has refused to go to Sweden for questioning, saying he fears further extradition to the United States, where a criminal investigation into the publication of secret documents by WikiLeaks is ongoing. In 2010, WikiLeaks published thousands of classified US military and diplomatic documents in one of the largest information leaks in US history. Prosecutors have said Isgren and a police investigator will be able to ask questions to the Ecuadorian prosecutor, who will later report the findings to Sweden. A Swedish appeal court decided in September to uphold Assange's arrest warrant, saying a strong public interest argument outweighed a case to set it aside based on the lengthy deadlock and a previous lack of motivation in pursuing the case. Assange's request to have the warrant overturned came after a UN panel in February likened his stay at the Ecuadorian embassy to arbitrary detention, that he should be released and compensated. If Sweden drops the investigation, however, Assange could be arrested for breaching bail conditions in Britain. Melissa Goviro, EMTV World News.
Iraqi forces are facing fierce resistance from ISIS in their efforts to retake Mosul. The terror group has used suicide bombers, snipers, and have ambushed government forces. More than 54,000 people have been displaced since their offensive to retake the city began a month ago. ISIS has been hiding explosives in residential areas, and these landmines could be anywhere, even in children's toys. This CNN report shows teams trying to defuse the bombs.
And this is an example of
an item in the ground.
Right here?
Yeah.
Oh,
Stop,
okay,
please.
so
yeah.
This one's been defused?
No, it's not yet, no.
It's a village tour like no other.
This is when one of the villagers got killed, the fourth one.
Our guide, Salam Muhammad, is with the Mines Advisory Group, or MAG. For 29 years, his life has been clearing mines and booby traps around the world, but he's never seen more than in his home region in northern Iraq.
In the last 3-4 days, we found 30 mines.
In this area?
In this area.
We're in the village of Tal al-Laban. When ISIS fled, the group's ability to kill remained.
They had like about 11 deaths in dead people died in this village, 5 injured, and then in the neighboring villages, since we arrived in the last 3 weeks, 6 people have died and 4 injured.
So this is urgent work.
It is. Yeah. It is.
Most in the villages around here fled 2 years ago when ISIS arrived. Salam and his team wants them to wait, but many can no longer afford to pay rent elsewhere, and so they're coming home. 65 families so far. We have no choice but to come back, Hamid Mirza tells us, but doing so cost his son Musli his life, killed when he triggered a booby trap at a village mosque. Elsewhere, in a safer part of the village, potentially life-saving lessons for children. What to look out for, what not to touch. Not even toys on the ground, sometimes booby-trapped by an enemy without conscience. It's all part of the Mines Advisory Group's humanitarian mission. Here, Salam wears a camera to show us a house that he knows is booby-trapped. He won't let us come, but wanted to show us one of these grotesque weapons, a shell hidden under a sink. Later, our tour interrupted. A villager found something in his house that needs checking. This happens daily, sometimes several times. Salam tells him he'll come by and have a look.
All of it came down in one go.
At this house, 3 people died simply going home. ISIS had rigged it with explosives and it collapsed on top of them.
And they went in on the hole.
And it was booby-trapped.
It's
And
booby-trapped.
what we're looking at down there is the roof.
Yeah, it's the roof.
Making this village safe and the farmland that supports its people will take months of painstaking, sometimes centimetre by centimetre work. And then it's on to the next area.
Because at the end of the day, 100% should be clear, and then we will hand it back to the communities. So, yeah, 100%. That's why we are responsible for it.
You can't miss anything.
No, can't. There are no room for that.
And here, a village full of people grateful for that promise.
When we come back, all the updates from the FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup PNG 2016. Stay tuned.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. In football, wins to New Zealand, Mexico and Germany, losses to Ghana and Korea Republic, while the US drew with France. We now cross over to Jeremy Mogi to give us a review of the matches so far.
Thank you, Helen. Support for the various countries taking part in the World Cup has been overwhelming, with a lot of mixed feelings over the host team and also admiration for Germany and Brazil. Students at the Gordon Secondary School, who hosted Spain's training session earlier today, expressed excitement of the tournament as well as offered support to the visiting teams. New Zealand beat the Black Princesses of Ghana 1-0 last night in an entertaining match at the PNG Football Stadium. New Zealand now sits on top of Group C on 3 points. USA and France drew in their Group C match at the PNG Football Stadium yesterday. USA captain Mallory Pugh says they have a lot of work to do before their next match against New Zealand. In a thrilling match that went down between Mexico and the Korea Republic, the Mexicans defeated Korea by 2-0 at the National Football Stadium. Both teams displayed endurance in the first half until an untimed move by Korea Republic's goalkeeper made way for the first goal by Mexico in the 53rd minute. More football action after the break. Stay with us.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. Defending champions Germany got off to a flying start, thumping South American and tournament debutants Venezuela by 3-1 at the National Football Stadium yesterday. Venezuela's Marian Speckmeier leveled the scoreline at 1-1 before Germany got back the lead with Gia's second, while Lea Schuler grabbed the third on 51 minutes. That's it from me. It's back to Helen Sear with the rest of tonight's bulletin. Over to you, Helen.
Thank you, Jeremy. We'll take a break and return with the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Stay tuned.
Chukai Sports.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Your weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow. In the southern region, cloudy with chances of light showers in Port Moresby, mostly fine in Daru and Alotau, chances of late showers developing later in Kerma, and rain shower or two in Popondetta. In the Momase region, rain shower or two in Ley, partly cloudy in Medang, and a shower or two in Wewak and Davani. In the New Guinea Islands region, chances of showers developing in Lorengau, few showers and thunderstorms in Kavieng, Kokopo, Rabaul, Kimbe and Buka. And in the Highlands region, cloudy periods in all centres.
The weather details are proudly brought to you by Dulux Weather Shield. Worth doing with Dulux.
Now recapping our main stories for tonight. Health support workers give 1-week ultimatum. Morobe contractors still waiting for dues, and lay police spreading the word among communities. And that's National EMTV News for tonight. On behalf of the entire news team, pleasant viewing and good night.